The Grasshopper and the Ant, and Other Aesop's Fables, presented by Storytime Classics, illustrated by www.bluestarcreations.art. Be sure and go to their website and check out the things that you can get from them, commission artwork, purchase stickers and other merch, and we hope you enjoy the Fables. One bright day in late autumn, a family of ants were bustling about in the warm sunshine, drying out the grain that they had stored up during the summer, when a starving grasshopper, his fiddle under his arm, came up and humbly begged for a bite to eat. "What?" cried the ants in surprise. "Haven't you stored anything away for the winter? What in the world were you doing all last summer?" "I did not have time to store up any food," whined the grasshopper. "I was so busy making music before I knew it the summer was gone." The ants shrugged their shoulders in disgust. "Making music, were you?" they cried. "Very well now, dance!" And they turned their backs on the grasshopper and went on with their work. There's a time for work and a time for play. A Raven and a Swan. A raven, which you know is black as coal, was envious of the swan because her feathers were as white as the purest snow. The foolish bird got the idea that if he lived like the swan, swimming and diving all day long, and eating the weeds and plants that grow in the water, his feathers would turn white like the swan's. So he left his home in the woods and fields and flew down to live on the lakes and in the marshes. But though he washed and washed all day long, almost drowning himself at it, his feathers remained as black as ever. And as the water weeds he ate did not agree with him, he got thinner and thinner, and at last he died. A change of habits will not alter nature. The Donkey and the Load of Salt. A merchant, driving his donkey homeward from the seashore, with a heavy load of salt, came to a river crossed by a shallow ford. They had crossed this river many times before without accident, but this time the donkey slipped and fell when halfway over. And when the merchant at last got him to his feet, much of the salt had melted away. Delighted to find out how much lighter his burden had become, the donkey finished the journey very gaily. Next day, the merchant went for another load of salt. On the way home, the donkey, remembering what had happened at the ford, purposefully let himself fall into the water, and again got rid of most of his burden. The angry merchant immediately turned around and drove the donkey back to the seashore, where he loaded him with 2 great baskets of sponges. At the ford, the donkey again tumbled over, but when he had scrambled to his feet, it was a very disconsolate donkey that dragged himself homeward under a load 10 times heavier than before. The same measures will not suit all circumstances. The Lion and the Gnat. "Away with you, vile insect," said the lion angrily to a gnat that was buzzing around his head, but the gnat was not in the least disturbed. "Do you think," he said spitefully to the lion, "that I am afraid of you because they call you king?" The next instant he flew at the lion and stung him sharply on the nose. Mad with rage, the lion struck fiercely at the gnat, but only succeeded in tearing himself with his claws. Again and again the gnat stung the lion, who now was roaring terribly. At last, worn out with rage and covered with wounds that his own teeth and claws had made, the lion gave up the fight. The gnat buzzed away to tell the whole world about his victory, but instead, he flew straight into a spider's web, and there, he who had defeated the king of beasts came to a miserable end, the prey of a little spider. The least of our enemies is often the most to be feared. Pride over a success should not throw us off our guard. The leap at Rhodes. A certain man who visited foreign lands could talk of little when he returned to his home except the wonderful adventures he had met with and the great deeds he had done abroad. One of the feats he told about was a leap he had made in the city called Rhodes. That leap was so great. He said that no other man could leap anywhere near that distance. A great many persons in Rhodes had seen him do it and would prove that what he told was true. "No need of witnesses," said one of the hearers. "Suppose this city is Rhodes. Now show us how far you can jump." Deeds count. Boasting words do not. The Monkey and the Camel. At a great celebration in honor of King Lion, the monkey was asked to dance for the company. His dancing was very clever indeed, and the animals were all highly pleased with his grace and lightness. The praise that was showered on the monkey made the camel envious. He was very sure that he could dance quite well as the monkey, if not better. So he pushed his way into the crowd that was gathered around the monkey, and rising on his hind legs began to dance. But the big hulking camel made himself very ridiculous as he kicked out his knotty legs and twisted his long, clumsy neck. Besides, the animals found it hard to keep their toes from under his heavy hoofs. At last, when one of his huge feet came within an inch of King Lion's nose, the animals were so disgusted that they set upon the camel in a rage and drove him out into the desert. Shortly afterward, refreshments, consisting mostly of camel's hump and ribs, were served to the company. Do not try to ape your betters. The birds, the beast, and the bat. The birds and the beast declared war against one another. No compromise was possible, and so they went at it tooth and claw. It is said that the quarrel grew out of the persecution of the race of geese suffered at the teeth of the fox family. The beast, too, had cause for fight. The eagle was constantly pouncing on the hare, and the owl dined daily on mice. It was a terrible battle. Many a hare and many a mouse died. Chickens and geese fell by the score, and the victor always stopped for a feast. Now the bat family had not openly joined either side. They were a very politic race. So when they saw the birds getting the better of it, they were birds, for all there was in it. But when the tide of the battle turned, they immediately sided with the beast. When the battle was over, the conduct of the bats was discussed at the peace conference. Such deceit was unpardonable. The birds and beasts made a common cause to drive out the bats, and since then, the bat family hides in dark towers and deserted ruins, flying out only in the night. The deceitful have no friends. The end. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation from Storytime Classics. If you would kindly smash the subscribe button and hit the bell for the notifications. Be sure and visit www.bluestarcreations.art for more artwork from Courtney at Blue Star Creations. You can also talk to her about commissioning your own piece of art that she can do for you custom. Also, you can purchase stickers and other merchandise there. We hope you enjoy this. We hope you'll tune in again next week. Subscribe and share this with your friends, and we'll see you later.